So Gwyn Emberton Dance is a small project-based dance company based in Wales, and we've been going for about 5 years officially and a little bit longer than that unofficially. And it's really been predominantly, it started off as a vehicle for me to make my own work. We do dance theatre productions, and we also do international collaboration projects, and we do some education and kind of outreach work locally in Wales, generally within the rural kind of communities for young people. I co the International Contemporary Dance Collective, which is the project that It Will Come Later came out of. That has been going for about 8 years, I think. So there's every 2 years, a group of artists come together. They're brought together by the Swedish dance company Ddawns, and collaborate and create new work or bring together old work and then tour it or present it locally in each of the countries of the artists that are participating. We came together in 2017, or the end of the last version of it, in about 2017, to think about what we could do with this project. And Israel Aloni, one of the directors of Ddawns, suggested that we should go for Creative Europe funding. So we decided that we were going to make a much more ambitious project, and the result of that has been that we collaborated with artists from Hungary, Poland, Wales, Sweden and Hong Kong over 2 years, with organisations based in each of those countries. The artists that we brought together, there were 6 of them that we brought together. They collaborated over a series of residencies where they were exploring initially the theme of transformation, and the work really that came out of that, It Will Come Later, was much more about collaboration and how they transformed through collaboration. And the rest of the project around it, there was also a lot of wraparound activities, so a lot of teaching, workshops, whether they were a part of dance festivals or they were locally within the community. So we held a kind of weekend, sort of laboratory weekend in Cardiff, where we had a youth workshops, and we held talks and had coffee mornings with local community, so they were introduced to the international artists, could talk about the themes of the work. We developed a book out of it as well, which is kind of partly reflections throughout the process with the artists, as well as the other creative team that we brought together, and they were from all over from those countries as well. And that book has now become a bit of a legacy for the project in terms of it's kind of a choreographic manual in a way of how you would come together to collaborate in a kind of democracy. Key benefits to the Creative Europe funded project, both with our partners within Europe and outside of Europe, and are really kind of rooted in us as being a small project-based dance company that was able to collaborate on quite an ambitious international project, where we were able to share in the process and the development of a whole project, not just about presenting work within Europe, but it was also about really moulding a whole project. Also elevated the organisation, our company within Wales. I would say that it's kind of it's demonstrated that we can manage and be part of quite significant work, actually, and quite significant work internationally. We have also developed in more international reputation, working with the different partners, and that's kind of extended out beyond that. And until COVID hit, we were kind of talking about other collaborations internationally beyond the project, but because of the project itself. If we hadn't have done this project before now, and then Brexit happened, we probably wouldn't be collaborating internationally in such a way. There's a couple of legacies out of it, I think. And one of the most significant, which feels really fundamentally important right now, is we are able to create opportunities for artists in Wales to be collaborating internationally and to be providing work for them, being influenced, being able to share, being able to experience other practices, and also to be able to meet other audiences and other communities where their input into the way we think about dance and think about presenting dance in communities outside of Wales has only ended up kind of us being able to think a little bit differently about how we're presenting and making work within Wales as well. The other legacy of the project would be the fact that we've created a book and a reflective film as part of it. So it's not, dance is very ephemeral, so it kind of exists in the moment and then it disappears. But what we've created with this is that there is this tool that is now available for forever for other people to, if they're interested in making work or interested in understanding how a collaboration between 6 artists who are equal decision makers can create something together and it be a success. One of the lasting memories I'm going to have of this is being in Hong Kong during the protests and just feeling that sense of urgency and that need and for the resistance that was happening at that time, and how that fed into the work for the artists, whether they were conscious of it or whether it was something that happened on a subliminal level. But within the work, there's so much kind of resistance and pushing, and Hong Kong was really going through this moment of real challenge, and it just fed into the work in a way that was just really, I don't know, on a completely other level. You could feel the sense of connection that the audience had with the work itself and the connection to what was happening outside of the theatre at the time. And it was just such an extraordinary, beautiful and resonant moment for both the artists and the public in Hong Kong at the time. I think it fed into the rest of the project in how we were thinking about things like Brexit, or how our Polish artists were thinking about the kind of the political difficulties that they were going through, and the challenge and this sense that democracy was being a little bit challenged there as well. And it seemed to run parallel with what was happening in the work. And whilst it wouldn't be a fond memory as such, I think it's the most lasting for me. And it was the most distilling that how art and culture and creativity really kind of is reflecting and can draw on everything around us, whilst kind of reflecting it back to us and reflecting it back to our shared communities beyond our borders, which was, it was really, really, really breathtaking actually to be part of that. Looking ahead now from this point without Creative Europe, we were hoping to be part of the next edition of iCodeCo, and we would have ideally been a partner a main partner within that, to be able to kind of develop and grow from this previous project. We don't really know. The uncertainty now is really for us like I said, as a small company. This project has been really, really significant for us, but to think that we might not have this opportunity anymore, it's really sad. And it also feels really sad for the communities in Wales where we were taking the work. So there was this international work with artists from all over the world coming into a small town hall in rural mid-Wales, and the local audiences are meeting these people from all over the world and talking about contemporary dance and talking about the issues that are across the world and global issues and if we don't have that opportunity, it feels like we're really, I don't know, we're going to be losing out a huge amount, but not just us as the artists, but it's the communities that we work in and work with actually, and that's super, super sad.